Hello, and welcome to the Variety is a Slice of Life spring anime special. We are an Otaku Media podcast. As always, I am Anthony, and joining me today is the lovely Zach.
Hello.
And Jarrett.
Salutations, Internet.
We are a bi-monthly podcast talking about games, anime, and a whole bunch of stuff. But today, we have another one of our specials. This tends to be one of our more popular things, so sit back and enjoy. We're going to have Zach start us out with a lovely anime called Kaguya-sama.
Yes, Kaguya-sama, Love is War, Season 2, Dos. This is a really an anime that, like, it's one of those animes that just kind of came like a sleeper hit, like no one was expecting it, and then it just came out of nowhere. It was like super popular for like sometime last year.
Oh, who's the company that made it? I'm sorry.
I don't know. A1 Pictures.
A1 Pictures. Oh, there it is. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it got like super popular. Most people who don't really know about it have probably seen the dance from it, because like they just had one episode where they ended it with Chica dancing. But this anime is about the student council of this like super prestigious like rich school, and in the student council there's the president and the vice president are in love with each other, but they're both under this like weird belief that whoever confesses first is going to be the lesser in the relationship. So essentially the whole thing is they're at war with each other to to psychologically manipulate the other person to like fall for them harder. Yeah, so just them constantly like pulling all these like crazy tricks and stuff, like trying to trick the other person into like giving them like, their birthday or like their line ID or something. Like it's always something weird. It's interesting when you throw in the other characters, because Chica's just a wild card who has no idea whatever's going on. There's like the super depressed treasurer who just doesn't even want to be there because he's scared of Kaguya.
Yeah, because I know the first one was huge. So, is the second season as good as the first one?
Yeah, I'm definitely liking it so far. From the opening and stuff, it looks like they're going to introduce 2 new characters, but they haven't appeared in so far in the season.
Okay. Is this based off of a manga or anything, or is this its own original thing?
Pretty sure it's manga. Yeah, I remember it's a manga. Everybody's saying the manga's good as well.
Well, cool. I'm glad that occasionally we just have like a new thing that comes up and is really good. Don't have enough of those.
Yeah, right now it's like the highest rated on my anime list because people were really excited for it. It's sitting at an 8.78 with 202,000 viewers.
Wow.
It's a really good like. It's definitely like a very like interesting flip on dynamics of romantic comedies. Because usually most romantic comedies are just like this like weird thing where like both characters are in love with each other, but they're worried that the other one isn't in love with each other. But in this, like they're like, no, they're in love with me, and I'm gonna make them admit it.
Yeah, that's definitely a decent flip on the trope.
And then that's also, they also have like the funniest narrator ever. He just narrates like every challenge that they have. The narrator will say who wins or loses. A lot of times it usually ends up with like a draw or something. And then as for the opening and ending, I don't remember the ending song very well. The opening though is really catchy. I don't think it's as good as the first season's one, because the first season had this like psychedelic like spy thriller thing where they're trying to like shoot each other with different types of weapons. while this one's more of like it starts with like her shooting an arrow at him and he blocks it, but then like a lot of it's just like them making lunches and like getting ready for school. But then the best part is when the chorus comes in, because it has like 4 of the characters walking down the hallway, Chica taking the lead with her like in her detective outfit, and they're like walking to the beat of the song.
Yeah, you sent that into the group chat and it was really fucking good.
Yeah, because like the song is called Daddy Daddy Do. It's like Daddy Daddy Do, and they just walk into that beat. That's great. But, yeah. That's all. That's all for that.
Oh, who would you recommend this series for?
People who like comedy, people who like romance. Because even if you don't like romantic comedies too much because of the romance tropes, it's like the exact opposite of those types of animes. So even if you don't like romance, it's definitely a good one to just check out, just for the comedy of these 2 idiots trying to manipulate each other.
Fair enough. All right. Shall we move on then?
Guess we shall.
Jarrett,
Hi.
you have an anime for us called President It's Time to Battle, or Time for Battle, I'm sorry.
That is the English. I am going to butcher the original translation. I apologize. It's Shacho, Battle no Jiken Desu. It is an alright anime. I really hate to say that, but like it's kind of it's okay. That may be judging it too soon because there's only a few episodes out, but I feel like much like we had last season with just a bunch of isekais that were meh. I feel like this one's gonna be meh, even though it's not an isekai. It's a kind of a comedy fantasy action anime. The big focus being on the main character Minato, who basically comes into, I guess, his dad's adventuring party organization, and him and his old childhood friend Eutoria convinces him to become the new president of their guild, otherwise they go bankrupt. And
Okay.
It's a problem all of us face.
yeah, it's a little confusing because it starts off with just with Minato. Oh no, I forgot about the name of the city. He has a letter from his dad just saying, yeah, meet me or you'll find what you're looking for in the big gate. The big gate being called Gatopia.
I like it.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, Cityville.
Yeah, but this town that has one giant gate in the middle that's kind of coming down from above has a bunch of other smaller gates that basically lead to dungeons or different fantasy adventure settings.
Interesting.
So people have just been going through them as adventuring parties to collect this MacGuffin material of Kinakuri, which literally powers everything they have. It's basically a kind of a light blue crystal, but it powers everything in this town.
Do they just find it like in mines, more or less, or is it like how
They find it in mines. They would get it. Our characters keep getting it because they keep finishing quests. But it started off, people just found them mining in these dangerous territories. But a lot of these things have what they call Majin, which are just monsters.
Majin Buu.
Various difficulties, and I guess there's more and more difficult dungeons to more and more challenging creatures. The typical anime setup. That's pretty much just the first episode of them, basically getting him to become president. He's very unsure. He's like, I don't know. I'm not really a combat person. I'm only a rank 2. Apparently there's like 7 ranks.
Uh-huh.
Very uneven number. He's a rank 2. We're like the highest person in his team. I think is a 5. The next episode then follows them kind of realizing that they are horribly poor, just awfully poor. They are actually running out of money. But then characters like, oh yeah, no, your dad left all of his stuff he's collected over time in a museum. Aside from these highly dangerous weapons, like if you get stabbed by this spear, you're cursed with a horrible love life. If you're beaten with this hammer, you're just ill and sickly for the rest of your life. If you get hit with that sword, you just have financial woes. He's like, why did we keep these?
It's kind of
like,
weird.
Yeah, your dad. It's like, yeah, your dad was a weird collector. So they go to the museum to, get back his stuff, and they're like, well, there's a fee for that. Because your dad has been gone for so long, we're pretty much pronouncing him dead. So, kind of have an inheritance tax. So they go on a big, contest to try and get first place, which will A, get them a nice prize pool, and then B, get them higher jobs from, the big main guild.
This anime's fucking breakneck with this pacing.
Yeah! Yeah, they only have 3 episodes out. They may have 4 now as we talk, but...
With what you're describing, this is just there's multiple plots of one show going on at once.
Yeah. Oh, there's not even including the main fighter of their group having a rival that she does not remember having. He's like, I'm your ultimate rival, and she's like, who are you? Until she remembers, she's like, oh yeah, and then she continually mispronounces his name. His name is Rivar. She's called him everything from gay bar to sidebar, just a whole bunch of things that are off. Her brother's just like, his name is Rivar. How do you keep forgetting this?
Look at the pictures. I'm loving the hair that the main character's rocking. He's got this ponytail going.
Yeah. Oh, and he just everyone else is in fantasy gear. He just fights in a suit. One small detail, I like that his sword, because they give him a sword, has a stamp on the bottom of the sheath. It's like, well, what's this for? Well, so you can stamp the monsters and we can get credit for them. So once you defeat a monster, you stamp it and it gets sent off to basically the monster bureau and they credit you for it.
Huh.
It's neat.
Bleach has something exactly like that, where you stamp somebody with the back of your sword and then they go to the other world.
Yeah. It's, like I say, it's not bad. It's not great. The music is a little generic. The outro is nothing really special. The intro is it's catchy, but nothing super good. Though, if you like kind of mid-tierish fantasy anime, I think this is kind of up people's list, because I think it has just enough to make it slightly different than the usual stuff, but still also feel familiar and not too out there. I feel it's a good comfortable middle ground for fantasy comedies.
Okay. Seems like it's got a lot going on more than anything.
It does have a lot going on for 3 episodes. It's like bop bop bop.
Also, just as I mentioned, that this is based on a mobile game.
Oh.
Interesting.
I could see that.
That would explain the management part of the stuff a lot more.
Yeah.
Because the main character's whole thing is that he's not a fighter, but he pretty much went to business school and was so far an elite, I forget what they call him, but he was
have enough play coins.
He was basically a very good employee for a very big important company, and then he just left to basically go find his dad and this adventuring stuff.
What kind of person would you recommend this for?
Like I said, if you're in for mid-tier anime fantasy, if you want a little bit of laughter, it's not too bad in the comedy.
If you want to laugh, you want to cry, you want to question yourself.
I do like some of the character designs because they're just different enough. There's one mysterious girl that's in their group who she is part of their group, but she seems so disconnected from their group. She just seems like she's like basically a representative from another place, just kind of there. So hard to explain.
Huh. Well, all right. Anything else you want to say before we transition over? Jared?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking.
I couldn't see Discord, so I just didn't know. I was like, please don't tell me disconnected. All right. Moving on, we are together. We're going to talk about a BNA, or a brand new animal.
Hey, are you ready to go? Sorry.
BNA.
It's been a hot minute, but a new anime series from Trigger.
Long overdue.
Not counting that Promare movie or whatever they came out with, but I don't think they've had a series since Little Witch.
Yeah. BNA is really good. I was surprised. I can't say I was surprised. It's Trigger. I'm never disappointed with them, really.
You did feel misled about the full-on content, though.
Yes, because I didn't see anything about it aside from her throwing a baseball at the one guy, and so for some reason I just thought, yeah, it's a baseball anime. Cool. It's about animals playing baseball. It's not about that.
It's not about that at all. It's typical Trigger style, where there's some pretty big dualities going on.
My only problem with this is the story has been told so much now. Like, Zootopia, in a way. Fuck, there was another one. What the hell is it called? It came out last season. With fucking the Wolf Man.
Oh, Beastars?
Yeah, Beastars. I mean, it's yes, it's a different story, but it's about, racial profiling and like assuming somebody is some way. There's like a mysterious wolf-esque guy that gets misunderstood, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just I've seen this like 3 times in the past 4 years.
Yeah.
But
I think each iteration's honestly still been good.
oh yeah. No. I'm not like super tired of the story. I just wish they would have taken it in a slightly different direction.
Knowing Trigger, it may go a slightly different direction. We only have 6 episodes out.
Yeah, like I mean, there's also it's obviously a lot going on with the main girl.
Yeah,
so I think you pretty much get that like really early on, is that she's got something going on, because we already know that she early on that she is a human who is turned into a beast man.
Yeah.
Which is what they said in that world that's never happened before.
Yeah.
No one knows about it.
They're just like, you're either born a human or you're born a beast man.
And she's a Tanuki too. So are there other not like mythical creatures?
Oh, Tanuki's a real animal.
That's right.
Yeah.
I always forget that Tanukis are real animals. So I always think of giant Tanukis and fucking Japan lore and all that stuff.
They are real animals. They're basically just raccoon dogs.
Never mind. I retract my statement.
Yeah, the fun fact: Tanukis are not actually that closely related to raccoons. I did my research on that.
Oh, yeah, didn't you say they were like closer to dogs or something?
Yeah, something like that.
So, Jared, do you want to give us a really quick rundown of the plot, since you've seen more episodes than us?
Oh boy. So our main character, Mikaru, she, in the very beginning, is escaping from her home to go to, what do they call it? Anima City.
Yeah, it's like Anima City. It's very on the nose.
Yeah. Where she thinks that she can go and be happy because she is stuck as a beast man, specifically as a Tanuki, which apparently has happened to her within the past year. And in this world, let's just say the tensions between beastmen and humans are not good. They're really not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is, I think me and Anthony put it best when we talked about this is reverse Gurren Lagann in the beginning, with the beastmen and the humans.
It's really weird. like how racist they are.
Like they're literally in the middle of following her on down a desolate road, literally firing crossbows and trying to beat her to death.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, there'd definitely be people like that out there if this was a real situation, but I don't think it'd be the entire planet.
Yeah, it seems like so far it is the entire planet. Like, there has been no good human so far.
So, it's... But, yeah, I mean, they gotta move plot along, so I don't mind that.
Yeah. And then it's kind of from there, it's her adventures in the city, especially after she meets Ogami, who is, the big bad wolf who, by God, his sense of smell is ridiculous.
Yeah,
He can see into the past just by smelling.
Yeah, there's a...
Yeah, it's a bit ridiculous.
There's another anime in this season that does that too.
I'm just like, what in the world am I watching? Like, I forget what... For you guys, what does or I guess for Zach, what does episode 3 have in it?
So episode 3 is the bombs in the medical center.
Okay.
So we have human trafficking, bombs in the medical center.
Yep. Before that, more bombings.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this anime is like crazy interesting. I love I just love Ogami because he's kind of like a freelance guy. Like, he's not part of the police force, but the police force work with him, and they actually state that his sense of smell is admissible as evidence in court.
Yeah.
And
I love that episode.
And
also, there's a mob.
Yeah, there's like a couple.
Oh, I love the rabbit mob.
Yeah, grandma. That's some that's some like One Piece Big Mom type shit.
I love her rabbit design, and then when she's human, it's just the exact same thing. It's the animal transformations look really clean.
Yeah, they look really good. Like, a lot of them. So, some of the people, like, you can definitely still like you can kind of like see the motif of like them. Like, when you look at Jim, you can kind of still tell that he's a chicken.
Yeah. I don't really read.
You don't really what?
I don't really read koala because I think she's a koala.
I love
in the intro. She has the rounded nose like they do.
I love the mink girl.
Mary, I love her so much. She's so smug.
I'm not a weasel.
I love it.
Yeah, like she just keeps like correcting people. It's like, I'm a mink.
I have it written down here. I'm like, cute weasel girl, and then in parentheses mink, because I wrote that down. And then afterwards, she's like, I'm not a weasel.
I'm gonna make my fur sleek.
I really love the fight scenes in this. They're so good looking. They're so clean.
Yeah, like every time I watch something from Trigger and I'm not expecting that Trigger animation, and then I get it. Like when I was watching it, I was like, it doesn't really have much of that Trigger animation. And then Ogami like kicks that wolf dude into like an air conditioning unit. I'm like,
yeah.
There it is.
Yep, there it is.
The style slightly changes when he goes into fighting, but it's not. I mean, it still looks like Trigger, but they go a slightly more off model when battles start, and it's so good.
Oh no, I definitely remember what the first like Triggerism was when she pushed the old man out of the way of the thing, and she like got like really squished down. She's like, oh no. I was like, man, that's so Trigger right there.
Also, the fucking Inferno Cop just playing on the TV. That was so good. I want that to be in more of their animes where they just have Inferno Cop just around somewhere.
Oh no, I'm fairly sure that one of those kids was Guts. I was fully expecting him to transform, just punk face.
I really like the pastels of the backgrounds too. They're really pretty.
Oh yeah,
I love the coloring in this.
Yeah, like the red and blue during like fight scenes and like during that one fight scene. Like I just love like the red and blue motif that they have going everywhere. Like even the promotional arts, like the red.
It's so good. Then I also have a note about.
I don't want to say too much, but I just want to let you guys know that it's better.
It gets better.
Yeah.
Oh, the
and the
music.
fight scenes too.
The music is so good. We gotta talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
I like when she's on the bus and it's got like some synthwave kind of.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Yeah,
that's so good.
Yeah, like the synthwave during like that. Yeah, watching that like the sunset when she sees the city, and then like whenever like Ogami does stuff, it's like there's kind of like this like almost kind of like hip hop beat. It's like a little bit like techno hip hop.
Yeah. I will say, I think it's in the 4th episode though. They reuse the ending song 3 times,
Oh,
but it works.
The opening and ending are so good.
oh yeah.
Oh, there's.
I love I just love the visuals of the opening with like any character that's in shadows is an animal, and any character that's in light is a human.
I like the outro, how it's a different kind of animation style. It looks really nice. It almost feels like a music video.
Oh, I figured out what the Burger King is. What they changed the Burger King.
It was Burger Kitty.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, we got Dogway, Burger Kitty.
I still don't know what the KFC is though. Oh, what was it? Bud Walrus?
Oh, what, Inferno Bowl instead of Red Bull?
Yes, yeah, Inferno Bowl.
I love the knockoff name brand stuff. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's like Shark Tale with these names.
Definitely interested to see more. Oh, I did want to say I admire what they did when she first got to the city and she's walking around, and it's just complete silence. Like there's no background music, there's no sound effects. It's just her footsteps, and that's it.
Yeah.
That was awesome. They don't do that enough in shows.
Oh, I know Zach was talking about the visuals in the intro. I love the visuals in the outro though.
Yeah, I love it. It's got like a kind of like an 80s kind of aesthetic to it. I love it.
No, I like
yeah,
that
that's what.
There you go.
Go ahead.
I would say I love it when they have her basically crossing over herself. In the last one, she looks back at herself, but then they cut to show Ogami, and he has the one wolf and the one human, but for her, she's just still the Beastman Tanuki.
And then like, what was I gonna say? I can't remember.
We got about a minute to wrap it up. So anything else we want to do or say about this?
One thing, the outro also reminds me of
what?
the Caravan Palace music videos, all their animated ones.
Definitely, yeah. I can
It
see
has that same style to me. I'm like, I've seen this before.
It's definitely an overused motif, but I completely understand what you're saying. It's like, oh, this is just whatever. It's like, shut up.
Yeah, also, I'm excited to see more of a comedy of just the main character's powers, because like her doing the arm thing was so funny. She's like, ew, gross.
Yeah. I think I got a lever.
Looking, just choking the shit out of that guy. That was really funny. Recommend this for anybody that likes action, comedy, trigger in general.
Stuff.
I highly recommend this. So,
If you want Zootopia with an edge,
yeah, pretty much.
because I warn you, it gets so much edgier. But I love it.
All right, moving on to Gleipnir. Hold on one second. It is. God damn, this anime is weird. So, it starts out, and the main character is just kind of hanging around, and he's like, sorry, this is the company that made this is called Pine Jam, which is a great name. So main character's just like hanging around, and he smells something kind of weird, so he goes to investigate it. And then he finds that this building is like on fire, and there's somebody inside. He's like, oh shit, I gotta go save them. So he transforms into this giant monster-looking mascot. And like I say mascot, it's got a giant head, and it's like proportions are very mascotish. But it's like it seems to be real fur, and like he can open the mouth, and like he can blink, and it's just really creepy looking. And he walks into the building, punches a hole in the wall, picks up the girl, and it gets weird because then he puts her on the grass, and like she's wearing like her school uniform, but like the shirt's kind of unbuttoned and like her skirt's kind of fucked up. So he's like looking at her, and then he smells something off of her, and then he like almost instinctively like starts trying to remove her underwear, and then he like stops himself. He's like, no, wait, I shouldn't do that. And then he pieces the fuck out. And he's like, oh shit. Then the next day comes around, he's like, I can't find my phone. He's like, fuck, where'd I put it? And then he runs into the girl again. She has his phone, and she's like, hey, I know you're a giant monster and you try to touch me. You're gonna talk to me, or I'm gonna fucking expose your secret to everybody. And he's like, all right, blah blah blah. So it kind of gets found out that he is some kind of monster and he doesn't know why. And it has something to do with these mysterious coins that are around, and they seem to be magical because you cannot see them on like phones or pictures. Like they essentially turn on the camera of a phone and then move their the camera in front of the coin, and the coin's just gone. Like they're still holding it in their hand. And it has something to do with his powers, but it hasn't been said yet. I'm really interested to see where that goes. And then while she's showing that, I guess another girl sees it, and she's like, hey, I found one of those coins earlier, and I put it in this vending machine, and it gave me these crazy powers. So I want another coin so I can get another wish. And then you kind of find out that there's this, vending machine, and you put a coin in, you press a button, and then, after, a minute, this guy pops out of the vending machine. Standard-sized vending machine, and the man comes out of the tray. And he's like, hey, cool, you found my coin. As a thanks, I'll give you a wish of anything you want.
Yeah. It's not at all where I thought this was going.
Yeah, it gets weirder. And then episode 2 ends with, a girl with a keychain of the little monster that the guy turns into. And she just asks, can I use my wish on somebody else? And he just replies, yes, and then it ends. And so it's kind of implied that somebody else turned him into this monster without his knowledge or, acceptance. So the weird girl that found out he has the weird monster powers is like, cool, let's figure out what the hell you can do with this. And so they just kind of screw around. And then the one girl shows up who wants the coin from earlier, and she starts fighting them, and then they're like, fuck, so they run away, but she's really fast, so they can't necessarily get away. And then this is kind of the main thing that's fairly interesting, is that they go to this warehouse, and she's like, hey, you got a zipper on your back, do you know about that? And he's like, what? And so she unzips it, and the inside is all flesh, but it's hollow. And it's really gross looking. And then she climbs inside, and he's like, oh, okay, this feels weird. And then she zips it back up, and so she's inside this weird flesh mascot, and they can feel and sense everything about each other.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. This anime is very sexual for no real reason.
That's not the vibe I was getting from the cover art.
It's mainly the one girl. In the cover art, it's the girl with the green shirt. Or yellow shirt, whatever color it is. She's very sexual for some reason. She'll just undress in front of the main character without caring about anything.
I'm looking at the cover, and my initial thought would totally have just been another horror anime. I was fully expecting a Five Nights at Freddy's anime kind of thing going on. Not this. Not this at all.
Then you find out that she has more control over him inside of the suit than he does, so he pretty much loses all mobile functions while she's in there. And so the girl pops up, and they start fighting. This girl has magic limb enhancers, more or less. The one that wants the coin. And so they break her leg and then shoot her in the back.
Jesus.
Yeah, and it is extremely gory. The rest of the anime is kind of gory and has a couple moments, but up to this point there's nothing that bad. the scream that this girl gives off is horrifying. Like, oh my god. Yeah, and then it pretty much ends off there. It is super weird. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, very. Oh, there's a lot of foreshadowing. I forgot to mention that. There's a lot of stuff characters will just say or do, or there'll be like a flashback for a brief moment, and it makes no sense. But you know that later on it's going to have some relevance.
At least we can hope.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be very disappointed, especially because the writing's pretty good in this. Like, they explain everything pretty thoroughly. And then you find out that the main girl wants to kill her sister, because her sister is one of these monsters. And, yeah, so her sister's one of these monsters, and her sister killed her parents. And she's like,
oh,
yeah, fuck my sister, I want to kill her. And so she gets in the mascot costume dude, and they, like, pretty much put, like, they have this giant gun that the costume mascot has for some reason. And they pretty much, like, take her to an isolated location so they could, like, blow her brains out. And they don't say anything the entire time. And then as they're walking, she's like, yeah, I know who you are, and I know why you want to kill me. I'm sorry. I'll accept my death. And then when she says that, they both kind of gasp, and you can hear the girl through the suit. And then you just see this, like, the sister kind of, like, lose her mind, and she's like, there's somebody else inside of you, and then she names the main character. You know, it was implied the entire time that she knew the sister was in the suit, but it wasn't. She knew that she was the one that turned the guy into, like, giant suit monster. And so there's, like, all this shit. It's really complicated, but it's really interesting. A lot of powers. The transformations that all the characters, like, have when they turn in between monsters and humans are very, very creepy, but they're
like
really well done. Huh?
Like Attack on Titan-esque?
I'd say a bit worse because it's flesh turning into fur.
Ah.
Yeah, and then
like Tokyo body horror almost.
Yeah, and they have a lot of, like, scenes where it's him mid transformation, and it looks like he's, like, melting.
Yeah, I love it.
It's creepy. The intro, really good. It sounds like early 2000s Vocaloid kind of thing. Like, it's not the greatest, but it's all right. Outro, just Oh, the music for the actual show, they have a song called Come Back to Where We Started that is so fucking good. I actually went and downloaded it because I was like, yeah, this is just a fucking bop. A lot of dubstep and, like, light rock too, which I wasn't expecting. What else? Character designs are good. There's not a whole lot of, like, solid lines in this. Like, they kind of emulate the manga style a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And it's very stylized, very nice looking. What else is there? Oh, when she climbs inside the suit, it's fucking disgusting sounding.
Oh, lost slushing.
Slurp.
It's so gross. They show a shot of, like, her foot going through the main character's chest.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's not like a gory thing. It's like his flesh stays intact. She just becomes part of him, and it's just not okay. But I would recommend it. It's a good action anime. It's got some lewdness, but it's not, like, standard, if that makes sense. It's not played for, like, comedy bits. It's more of, like, a serious kind of thing in a way. Like, she doesn't want to get her clothes dirty before she gets in there, so she, like, gets into a swimsuit or her underwear. Yeah, it's a little weird, but would recommend it. Alright, moving on to the, you know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen.
That corner.
Cue the smooth jazz.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, he's sub boys. He's Zach here for Isekai Corner, right? It's really hard to say.
Isekai Corner, yeah.
There's as far as I'm aware, 3 isekais this season. I'm going to be talking about 2 of them. I'll make One is Ascendant. I'm gonna start with Ascendance of a Bookworm. Actually, no. I'll start with my what is it? Villainess one. What is that name? I think it's like My Life as a Villainess. My next life as a villainess. All routes lead to doom.
That is definitely a light novel title.
Yeah, you are correct. This anime is about this snooty rich girl in a fantasy world. She hits her head one day and she remembers her past life. In her past life, she was just kind of like a normal, kind of mostly normal girl on Earth. But she realizes like very quickly that the life she is currently living now is as the villain of a visual novel, and she realizes like, oh crap, in that visual novel all of the endings either ended with my character either dying or getting exiled from the country because I was the villain of that game. So she's like, it's like, well, I'm gonna use my knowledge of the game to try and not have those happen. I'm gonna try and have a smooth life.
Huh.
Yeah.
Alright.
So like the anime starts with like showing her entering the school, like the school as like a 15-year-old, but then it goes back to her being an 8-year-old, and the first 3 episodes are her as an 8-year-old as she meets like each of the key players, like key characters in the game, minus the protagonist of the game who hasn't been introduced yet. But in the opening I can tell that they're going to introduce that character soon. But and then at the end of the 3 episodes they start with aging her up and going to the school. So I think episode 4 onwards is going to be her as a teenager in the school.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then it's just kind of funny because like she kind of like knows the characters' backstories and stuff, so she like uses that a little bit to like kind of change how they are. Like one of the characters is her stepbrother that she knew in the game was like, he was kind of this like fearful guy because in the game the character that was her like abused him and like made fun of him all the time. So she was like, well, I'm gonna be a good sister to him, and like now they get along pretty well.
That's a very interesting premise, honestly.
Yeah. And then a lot of the comedy so far kind of comes from the fact that like she's like this rich girl, but she acts kind of like how she would in her past life. She does she's also practicing to have good magic and stuff to protect herself, because she's also like trying to like have contingencies if she tries to get killed. Like she's like trying to figure out what like other characters' fears are and like practicing her magic. So she's like farming and stuff to practice magic. So like everybody thinks she's like really like uncouth now because she's like farming. She's like kind of gluttonous a lot.
This girl's really changed after she hit her head.
Yeah. I'm really it's a really good one because I really just really like the premise, and I'm excited for her to meet the protagonist, like the quote unquote protagonist, because I'm so interested to see like a shoujo visual novel character from like this kind of perspective, because usually those characters are pretty like badly written in my opinion. So I'm interested in seeing how they like portray that character.
What are you hoping for?
I don't know. I have no idea, but like I'm interested in seeing it because like otome visual novel characters are usually pretty blank. Usually visual novel main characters are blank in general.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in seeing like a visual novel main character that isn't the main character.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. And then the opening and ending, the ending was not super memorable, if I don't recall correctly. I think it has a good singer. I forget the Shota Aoi song's called Bad End. It's all right. I kind of like the singer because I've seen other things with him before, but I really like the opening is like probably my favorite this season, which is it's by a singer named Angela, who I just like. I like her stuff just because like she switches music styles like mid song. I think she's just in the TV size. I think she switches like styles of song like 4 times.
Huh.
But in the so I just like the style of the song. It's got like diegetic credits, which are pretty nice. Like they're not super good, but like they're kind of look good.
Yeah.
But my favorite part of the opening is like they do this like really cool prolonged like interconnected shots where it's like the girl interacting with one of the other characters as a kid, and then they age up, and then she moves on to the next scene as a kid again. So it's like her dancing with her fiance as kids, whips him towards the screen. He comes back. He's a teen. They're teens. She gets pulled off screen. She's with her brother as kids. It kind of like goes on to that for every main character.
Huh.
It's just like, and like the way they transition to each one is like really cool. Like, she gets pulled into the next one. She falls into the next one. She like stumbles backwards into the next one. Like it's definitely like something you have to watch multiple times to notice like how good like it transitions.
Yeah, it sounds very complicated, especially if it's just an opening.
Yeah, like I said, it's probably my favorite opening. It's just like the song. Like I said, the song is good too because like it's like this super like high energy thing. Then it becomes like a ballet song, and then it just becomes a part where she's just like talking or whatever.
Huh. Who'd you recommend this for?
I don't know, people who like isekais, people who like the idea of a isekai where the main character's in a visual novel.
Yeah, I can't say I've heard that one done before per se.
Okay,
I know about.
Hang on, I'm looking at the alternate titles. One of them is called Hamefura I Reincarnated into an Otome Game as a Villainess with Only Destruction Flags.
Why? Like, chop off that end bit for fuck's sake. God,
I love like
manga
visual
artist.
I love visual novel like when things like kind of like go along with like visual novel tropes like that, like flags and all that. Yeah, that's all I really have to say that one. And then the other isekai. Well, I'm gonna mention like the other isekai that I'm not watching is like called something Eighth Sun. I can't remember what it was, but I just find this interesting because all 3 isekais this season have a connecting factor of like at least part of the anime has the main character as a child.
That's kind of strange.
Yeah.
It's cool, but strange.
Yeah. And then the last one is Ascendance of a Bookworm. It's labeled as like the second half, but I'm counting as like kind of a second season because it came out like the first half came out like last year, like it was a bit of a while ago. I think I talked about this anime and the one we filmed in Georgia, together.
That was a while ago then, yeah.
Yeah.
Just as like a recap of the synopsis of this one, it's about a girl who's obsessed with books, dies, and is reborn as a poor, sickly girl in like the Commonwealth of like a low fantasy world. I mean, a low magic fantasy world. Because what I like is that it doesn't have over a reliance on magic. Like the main character has magic, but it's more of a hindrance because it's like a disease that's killing her. And then the magic's like just some magic flora, like magic contracts and magic artifacts, but like they're never like super important. But like yeah, but her goal is she's born as a girl named Mine, and she wants to just have books. Like, but books are hard to get in this world because the printing press hasn't been invented. So like books are expensive and rare. So she wants to make her own books, which like essentially the first season was like her stumbling towards that goal, like like making random stuff that doesn't really help. Then eventually she ends up working with a merchant and gets her own paper, gets like a workshop that she can use to make paper. And then that first half kind of ended with her joining the church because she learned the church has books. So the second half's more focused on her in the church and like kind of working out the fact that everybody in the church hates her.
Why did they hate her?
For reasons I can't remember, she ended up getting a blue robe because like the church is like blue robes and gray robes. Blue robes are nobles and they have like all of the perks and stuff, and then the gray robes are like noble or commoners, more like usually orphans who just like are in the church because they're orphans. Mine ended up being a blue robe, but she's a commoner, so everybody hates her. The commoners hate her. The nobles hate her. She gets 3 retainers. The retainers don't like her.
Yeah, this sucks.
Yeah. Though the first 3 episodes were her kind of learning to understand her retainers. Like she thought she was in the right, but then she's like, maybe I should actually like hear the retainers out a little bit. And she's like learns her flaws. The retainers learn their flaws, and that like now by the 3rd episode they kind of all like each other. Huh. I really like the retainer, the oldest retainer, Fran, who's like he doesn't like he's the head priest's like retainer, so he's like kind of doesn't want to be her retainer, but then he realizes like, oh crap, like I'm not a bit like this is like a test essentially for me, and I'm failing it because I'm not paying attention to her needs or whatever. So there's like a cute scene where like he finally realizes his mistake, and then she passes out because of her sickness, and he's like, someone's carrying her. He's like, please let me carry her. Like I'm a retainer. So like that happened in the 2nd episode, and I was like, okay, I love this character. This is my favorite character. just like him to realize that. Then on to like the opening and ending. The ending's all right. Like I don't really like the song, but it's got like kind of a unique style where it's like it's embroidery, like animated embroidery.
Oh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and then the opening is really good. Like the opening has this like really cool part where it's like mind shrouded in shadows as like everybody in the church stares down at her, kind of like showing that like no one likes her at the church. But then like it cuts away to like a book opening, and then her family comes out of the book, and then the page turns, and then it's her friends and business partners, and then it cuts back to her in the dark church, and the light shines on her, and we see I think to be her past life with her grandma, because I think she had like a really important connection to her grandma. Because one of the things mine ends up like making a ton of money with a merchant guy because she sells like patents for like all of this stuff she knew how to make on Earth.
I love when
like
they do that in isekais.
Yeah, she like invented shampoo, so like everybody's like, man, why is your hair so good all the time?
I love that. It's really good in Konosuba too when they do that.
Yeah. And then and then there's like this really adorable shot of like Mine standing in a grassy field while the wind blows around her, and she like smiles and stuff. My only problem with the shot is that they did her dimples a little bit too much. It's a little bit much, but other than that, it's fucking adorable.
Too emphasized.
Yeah, like they're big, like some big cheek dimples, like.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's recommendations like isekai fantasy. If you like fantasy that isn't too focused on like the character being overpowered, since like she's got magic, but the magic is not good. So like yeah.
All right. We'll transition over to the third and final one, which is Digimon Digital Masters.
I guess you could count it as an isekai. Yeah, so Digimon.
It's an isekai in the same way that Kill Kill's a magical girl anime.
Yeah.
It's like on a technicality.
Yeah. So it's Digimon Adventures 2020, because I guess they decided to redo it. It's from Toei Animation. So, I'm only one episode in, but I'm really enjoying it. Aside from my nostalgia, I grew up with Digimon more so than Pokemon, so it brings back a lot of fond memories. And to see that they're doing the original stuff, but in modern day, I like, because technology has advanced so much since the original Digimon came out back in like 1996.
So
like 97, something like that.
So is this a reboot then?
I think, because none of the characters have known each other and it's just they all still act the same, but they all just have like modern technology. Modern technology now.
Huh.
It's because like Izzy comes over, he's like, yeah, no, I'm like, I guess they're both going to like the same camp. He's like, I just had some questions about this thing. He's like, oh yeah, no, you're like that fourth grader from like upstairs, aren't you? He's like, oh yeah, but he just has like he has like a laptop that's folded into a tablet, so like the keyboard's underneath. Ty's just using a smartphone to call his mom.
Yeah, that must be a little jarring to go from like, oh yeah, nobody has a cell phone or anything, to like, all right, hold on, let me call my mom on my smartphone.
Yeah. I remember in the original R War game, like the technology in that was so dated that it was almost like hilarious to watch.
It was pre-flip phone. I was like, oh. They were like straight up like dial-up, and it's funny because they started with dial-up too. Like they have the they literally make the joke. They have all the sounds of dial-up starting, and it's like the network, and then it just flips to like a Wi-Fi signal and like modern day looking screens and whatnot. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is where we're going. It's like, but they're starting off very much the same way. Digimon stuff is happening. It's affecting the real world. It's affecting our technology. Like, because there's a virus going around, it's affecting the trains, and like the trains which are on a loop, they're now just speeding up and constantly going faster and faster. Of course, Ty's mom and sister are on one of these trains, so he's like, I have to do something to try and stop this. And as soon as he starts running, he gets sucked into the digital world. Because as you do in Digimon,
Digital monsters.
Yeah.
And then he finds
the champions.
Yeah. He finds Agumon. They start beating up some Digimon. The big bad Digimon evolves, so then they have a pretty epic fight. And I'm a little sad that at least so far they're not doing what they used to do with the evolutions, which is the big like pretty much magical girl thing where it's a long sequence. They had him digivolve, but they were having a fight while he was digivolving.
Wait, what?
So like the big bad digivolved. Agumon then starts to digivolve, and you just see like he goes like, I don't know, almost like I don't know what the effect is, but like he's like a single color, but then underneath you just see like a bunch of pixels moving and shifting around. and like he's like bright orange. And he just starts to get bigger and bigger. Now he's just a big Agumon. Then the limbs start to form as he turns into Greymon, and like the blue stripes just like suddenly shock out from him, but they're blue. And then like his hand transforms into the hand, and then the horns pop out, and then it all just solidifies. But while he's doing this, he's still fighting this thing. It's actually a really cool shot that I like.
This sounds cool, but it makes me miss the really crappy like 3D model spinning of the original Digimon.
Yeah.
It's like Digimon, Digimon.
Yeah, I do miss that. I kept waiting for all the English sound bites. Oh man, well, I'm not gonna get any of these. This is the sub. I'm not getting any of that. I hope that the dub pulls it back because I want the cheese. I want the cheesiness of the dub's weird sound choices.
Dude, they should you know how like Pokemon X and Y did the new like did like a remix of the original. They should just do like new Digirap.
Yeah.
Or have that be some characters like ringtone.
But it looks like I'm so excited because it looks like episode 2 they're already going into War Game, which is insane. And if you haven't seen War Games, it's the first Digimon movie, or it's the first part of the Digimon movie.
It's the second part of the Digimon movie.
No, it's the first part because the first part's them going in the internet to fight Diaboromon.
The first part's the them in the past.
I forgot that movie actually has 3
Jarrett,
parts.
learn
Yeah,
your
you're right.
shit.
It's the second part.
Yeah.
I do not need it from you.
I was waiting to see who I should side with.
I really don't need this from you.
Yeah, because our War Games is the second like Digimon special like OVA.
I forgot about that first part.
Yeah,
With them back in time as kids.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend watching that like as like the original OVA. It's like 40 minutes or so. It's fucking dope as hell, and it's made by the guy. It's made by the guy who made The Girl Who Wept Through Time and all that.
Also, if you want something like it but really good still, watch Summer Wars.
Literally the exact same movie.
It is the exact same movie, but with small differences. Not a lot, but some small differences. No, but I'm excited because if they're already doing War Games, and that means Omnimon's gonna come out, and I can't wait to see that Digivolution.
The fuck is Omnimon?
Because Matt's already there. It's just like Omnimon is the mix between Garurumon and Greymon.
Wait,
Actually, no. Technically, it's a Metal Garurumon.
They confuse.
Yeah, Digimon fusions are a thing. So.
He's like polymerization or something.
Yo, is this gonna be this? Are they gonna come into the season where they fuse with their Digimon?
What season was that? They did that.
Wait, that's real?
Yeah,
I
I mean,
Zach
they
was just talking about the one weird ass Pokemon thing.
No, they did that in Tamers, which was the 3rd season. Their final evolutions was kind of them mixing with their humans.
That's weird.
Yeah. And then 4 was just, the people were also Digimon. They had the ancient Digimon spirit, so they just all turned to like humanoid Digimon.
Fuck.
Oh, that's my favorite. That's my favorite season of Digimon. I love that season.
Okay.
I love me some Digimon Frontier. Yeah, I know.
Opening, ending.
Music, kind of generic J-rock. The ending is kind of slower. I do like the visuals for it though. There's one part where they shrink the screen down to 4:9, and they have the original animation of Tai falling/spinning, and then it just suddenly switches to new animation, and the background gets bigger and changes to more modern looking.
Nice.
And they have these crazy shots of the kids are in the foreground, either left or right, and then some like colored light representing the color swings from behind them like a shadow, and then it just shows either their crest or their Digimon with like a white background, and then just the light just pans across and then it switches to another kid. I'm like, ooh, I like that. The rest of it's just Tai and Agumon having fun, but the song isn't bad. It's a little generic J-rock, but I like the visuals in it. The actor is kind of all right.
Recommendations. Is this a older kind of take on it, or is this still like how Pokemon is? So it's kind of for kids.
I haven't seen anything that's distinctly made it more like mature or anything, but I haven't seen anything to make it like super kiddish. So I
Yeah,
think it's like
yeah. Digimon was always like kind of just Pokemon with edge.
yeah.
Like
Especially-
Digimon knew
especially
how to.
season 2. Oof.
Yeah, Digimon knew how to take itself seriously.
I mean, they killed people.
Oh,
Poor Wizardmon. Yeah,
Wait,
no.
you said Wizardmon?
Yeah, there's Wizardmon.
All right.
If you enjoyed Digimon to begin with, I highly recommend. If you're into monsters fighting monsters, also that. Also an interesting coming of age story. So
Interesting. All right. Well, shall we move on to Balance Unlimited?
oh yes.
Billionaire detective, balance unlimited.
God, this is such a good anime.
It's the buddy cop anime we've been waiting for that we didn't quite know that we wanted.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I thought like, I thought that one buddy cop film, the buddy cop anime with like the fantasy like elf with the sword was cool, but this is so much like instantly so much better.
Yeah. So let's start out with the opening because the opening is fucking sick.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, yeah.
Just like the transitions between like him doing stuff and then like scantily clad women and like guns and like it's got a very spy thriller-esque opening.
Did I tell you that they changed colors between the first 2 episodes? They changed the colors in the intro.
I didn't notice that.
There's a specific scene of a girl who's like putting like a finger to her lips. In the first episode, she resembles the girl with the pink hair that we see later in the episode, and then for the next one, she resembles his sister, girlfriend, wife, whichever that we see in that episode.
Interesting.
So the first one's pink and red and bright, and then the next one's pretty much all black.
They have like a call to James Bond at some point.
Yeah,
That was a cool little nod. But it didn't overstay its welcome, so that was nice too.
I love like part of the song where like towards the end was like it's like dun, dun, unlimited.
yeah.
It's like a little bit of like rap in it as well. Like, I mean, that's not even discounting the ending, which is just straight up like more rap.
Yeah.
It's so good though. So the basic plot of it is who would you say it's more? It's centered around the other guy, right? Not the millionaire detective.
Yeah, it's more like it's like one of those series where like the titular character isn't the main character.
Yeah.
So like was it Katuharu is more of the main character, while Kanbei is more of just like he's kind of like
foil.
titular character. Yeah.
So like what, Katuharu is what you said his name was?
Haru. We should call him Haru. That's his first name.
Haru is like a grizzled detective in the third precinct.
Rizzle. That's not what I would call him at all.
Yeah, no.
He's he ain't doing too hot in his job, more or less.
Well, he's one of those like justice above all else, but still like the good kind of justice, not just like we need to bring him in no matter what, but like by the book, we need to help people.
Yeah.
First and foremost.
Yeah, he's super like wants to help people and solve crimes and stuff, but because he's in the modern crime division, he can't really do any of that. Like he can't do what he wants to do.
It sounds like he was formerly First Division, but then he left.
Yeah, because something happened.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I like when they do stuff like that, where they just tell you why their character isn't doing something. And then we get introduced to the best character, which is a billionaire. Isn't even justifiable. He is an unlimited balance man.
Fucking Kanbei Daisuke, which might I mention that in the
Hello.
Sorry, I got interrupted.
I'll cut that out.
But might I mention that in the opening that in the credits of the opening, there's a part where it says Kanbei conglomerate, so it kind of makes me think that Kanbei might actually be a thing in real life.
Like as like a product or
like a conglomerate, like a company or something.
Huh. I wonder what it is. So yeah, he shows up. He just kind of wants to be a detective. Like, it just kind of seems like he wants to be a detective, and he has the training for it.
Yeah, we haven't like only 2 episodes have been out. I think they delayed the release of like further episodes for a bit because of Rona. But yeah, so we really don't know much about why he wants to be a detective. He just kind of like does it. I mean, he's not bad at it.
No, not at all. Like, he's fucking amazing at it, but he's just...
Mostly because of his just complete disregard for anything and over-reliance on money.
Oh, yeah, like, where he's just like, oh, this is a fast car. How much? He's like, oh, yeah, I wouldn't even sell this for $300 million. Here's $1 billion. Keep the change.
Yeah, there was like, I'm the prince of like, I'm like the 7th prince of a nation or something like that. He's like, yeah, no, I'll just throws him out of the car.
Do I care? No.
Yeah, I love when he's yelling at the interpreter to say something to him, and then he like in the language says, "Keep the change." Like he knew the language the whole time.
So dumb. I love it so much. Yeah. So that the whole first episode is them trying to get a bomb out of a van after these 2 robbers kind of steal it as a getaway vehicle, not understanding that there's a bomb in the back.
After they stole some chocolates
and some money, but
I hope I almost want to see those 2 again. They were really adorable. I especially love that there's like a shot where you see that she actually is wearing one of the chocolates as a ring.
Yeah, that was kind of cute. They're a good character, and they have the is it Garu? Is it the style that I'm thinking of?
Garu.
Yeah.
Gal.
What's the guy version of that? However, cool punk dude.
I wouldn't know.
Oh, but yeah, I like how they're dressed and very styled. But so I love during the chase scene. It's just his theme is blaring the entire time, and it's so good.
Yeah, like the music in the show is so good because like Daisuke has like his own like big band jazz theme that plays when he does anything cool, which is all of the time.
For some context for people who want to know what kind of music it sounds like, it's almost like the Incredibles-esque music.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. Same kind of style. Yeah, but so they end up like, I don't know if he disregards people, because it's weird, because he was just going to push the van over the edge. Like, I don't know if he was, like, he knew she was going to hop out, or, like, he didn't care.
Well, like, he didn't even try to help, what's his name, back up. Just let him fall into the river.
Yeah, that was such a funny move.
Yeah, he just smiles at him, too. God, I love... Dude is like, this is the biggest anime chat I've ever seen.
Yeah, like I was 100% expecting, like, oh yeah, his finger's gonna slip a little bit and then he's gonna grab him. Just no, and then he just cuts to him falling. So perfect. I'm really interested to see more about this show.
Oh yeah,
characters are really interesting. I want to see more about the other detectives, because there's the one girl that's always eating.
Maharu. She was so adorable. Like the way she talks is adorable. It's like, do you like some candy? It's like the fish.
I love that he actually ate it too. Like he wasn't like opposed by it. I like that he's just like eating like ramen and shit. Like he's not afraid to try commoner stuff. He just doesn't most of the time.
He's just like, oh, this tastes good. Never had ramen before.
Yeah, he's not like he's not like your stereotypical like hate like ew poor things rich guy. Like he's open to like new stuff because he's just so unaware of it.
I do like later that they he takes the reporter to a fancy ramen place. It's just like while the other guy's selling a stakeout. Just
we probably should say the reason why it's called Balance Unlimited is because he will just throw money at anything, and then there are a handful of shots where it's like he's like, buy this thing, and then this like AI that he has is just like,
no, it's his actual butler.
Oh, is it? Yeah, his actual butler's like, all right, this thing bought Balance Unlimited.
Yeah, like Kame's fucking catchphrase is just balance unlimited because he has so much money he can buy anything and just does it with like so disregard. Like in the second episode, he buys an entire skyscraper. He buys a skyscraper so he can shoot it with a rocket launcher.
Yep. I was gonna put that. He's like, hey, no, yeah, and with like a wall-piercing rocket launcher that splits into like 4 pieces that also releases like knockout gas. So like,
yeah, and he almost kills the main character.
Yeah,
like that's why I say he might not have like any disregard for human life because he almost fucking kills him. Yeah, just when he showed up in the fucking attack helicopter, I lost it. I was like, oh my god. And this theme kicked in. I was like, oh no. It's so good.
Yeah, like how the normal detective is like, it's you in that dog outfit. Order's like, what are you doing here? Sorry, I only have the one mask. Wait, one mask for what? Oh god.
Ba-ba-ba-da-da.
Yeah.
Oh. I just love in the intro. There's just a part of him just like in a bathtub full of money.
Oh, I love how they end every episode by telling you how much was spent for the entire episode. Oh, God,
I love that.
Second episode was something like $800 billion or some dumb shit. It was so much money.
Oh my god, I just love, like the way he throws money, especially like the first episode too, where he's just buying like he's crashing into so much stuff and he's buying the thing, he's paying for the damages like at like 2 or 3 times the market value.
Oh yeah, they like to get the reports like, oh, here's the report, it was all paid for with double the market value. It's like, what?
Yeah.
I feel so bad for Haru because he tries so hard.
I also love his tech. He's just like, he just has a pair of sunglasses. And he's just like, found your information, and your money is transferred.
Yeah, he can like scan the card to like transition the money, and then he writes with his finger. It's like the heavy rain glasses.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. Like, oh god.
Oh god. All the character designs are pretty well made, I'd have to say. I really like how a lot of the women look in this too. They're very appealing. And then the main characters, both just how they contrast look-wise is very well done.
Yeah.
Like Daisuke's like this, like the most Japanese looking dude ever with like long eyes, like slick back, like black hair, jet black hair. And the other dude's got like shaggy blonde hair. Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, character design's just on point. Voice acting, nothing to shake a stick at. I mean, it's good, but it's not insanely amazing. Animation's nice and fluid.
Oh, whoa! The guy who voices Daisuke, this is his first role.
Wow.
in anime.
Good for him.
Damn. I hope he does well. I recommend you check this out. I don't see a lot of people watching it, and I don't see it getting as good of a reception as I think it should. Because on my anime list it has that's 7.5. It's gone up then, but it's
a lot of these have only been since we started watching them.
Yeah.
I'm hoping with when the hiatus is over, they can come back out with the episodes, and hopefully we'll get some more notoriety. Cause we need more buddy cop animes out in this.
Damn right we do.
This is a pretty good one.
All right.
I almost want to get Big O vibes off of it, but
I know exactly what you mean. It's almost Big O vibe,
it's
but
almost there.
Not quite.
If it was grayer.
Yeah.
If everything was grayer, it'd be right.
It's definitely too colorful for that. All right, well, we got to move on. Next week, I shall be talking about Tower of God. Tower of God. It's a webtoons anime.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently,
Okay.
it's made by Crunchyroll and Webtoons.
So Korean
I-
webtoons are usually Korean, right?
I mean, it's in Japanese, so I'm not 100% sure. But it's actually really good. I was not expecting it to be that good. It does kind of throw you in the deep end immediately, and they don't really. I mean, they explain stuff as they go along, but like, you don't really know anything about the world right now. They explain that like, it's almost implied that all of humanity lives in like this tower. And the tower is divided into 3 sections, where there's the lower half, the residential section, and then the upper tower, which the upper tower is like set up to be a trial-esque thing, where you have to ascend it, and if you get to the top, you get a wish. And it's like there's all these trials set up by other people that have gone up the tower. And there's like some magic and shit. Like there's this like magical water which keeps you alive, but like there's like stronger versions of it, and the higher up in the tower you go, the stronger this water is. And
I'm sorry. I don't know why when you said that, I just got Ninja Warrior vibes, like OG Ninja Warrior vibes.
honestly, yeah, it'd be pretty close to that.
You must scale the sand ladder.
And it's really weird. So the main character's name is Bam, but he goes.
They take all your medallions, you're out.
The main character's name is 25th Bam, but they just call him Bam. And he travels with this guy who has like a briefcase, and then this giant lizard man. And I love the giant lizard guy because he's just like so cocky. He's like, yeah, I'm the leader. And they're like, no, you're not. So he pretty much shows up to like the base of the tower. And this weird like rabbit monster thing. Like he looks almost like a Digimon or a Pokemon. Like he's really creepy looking. He's like, cool, if you can break this pearl, you pass the first test, and I can send you up to the level to actually start the trials to get into the tower. And he's like, okay, it doesn't seem too hard. And then this giant monster appears. He's like, yeah, you gotta deal with that too. You don't have to kill it, you just gotta get past it. And then he's like, oh man, I don't know how I'm gonna do that. And then this princess shows up, and you're like, what the fuck's going on? Why is there a princess all of a sudden? And she gives him this sword called the Black March. And it's like this insanely powerful, indestructible sword. And he runs in there head first, because you find out that his motivations are he wants to be with this girl named Rachel. And you find out that Rachel, like, found him and took care of him, and then told him about how she wants to see stars. And then she's like, yeah, I'm going to go into the tower so I can go see stars. And then she just disappeared one day. That's actually like how the show opens, is like her being taken to the tower and the main character like crying over the fact that she's leaving.
Huh.
It gets way weirder. The main character, like, he has a flashback scene where he's standing on a mountain of boulders that like it looks like he built them up, and he's banging on like this ceiling with a rock trying to break through it. And then he breaks through it, and Rachel's on the other side. She's like, oh hey, you're down here. And then she comes down there and she's like, oh cool, I'll take care of you for a bit. And you're like, what the fuck? Why was the character in this weird hole? Why is there no one else around? And why was she up there? And it's so weird. They don't explain a lot, and I kind of like that, because I like when they don't pander to, like, you know, like they have to explain every detail of something. You should just assume stuff going into a story sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's real weird. So he goes up to the first. So he ends up breaking the pearl, and the princess that gave him the sword was like, "Oh, cool! I can get my sword back." And then he just gets instantly teleported up, and she's like, "Fuck! I need my sword." And the rabbit guy's like, "Yeah, he gets teleported up automatically when he breaks the pearl. So, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. You got to go find him." And so she's like, "Fuck!" And so she starts going on her own way, assumedly to find the main character. And we cut to her a handful of times, and she's in like this labyrinth of stairs, and it's kind of like the MC Escher stairs. It's real weird.
Go up sideways stairs.
So then he gets teleported to like the middle of this field, And then like an announcement comes on with like this girl who she's like making like sound effects and shit. She's like, ding ding, hello everyone. Just want to say, yeah, it's a battle royale right now. There's 400 of you. We need you to bring that number down to 200, and then the next trial will start. Have fun. And then you just see people just start dying left and right. But like, one guy has a gun, another guy has a bow and arrow. Main character's just like, oh fuck, and runs off. And then this is like when you start seeing like other creatures. Like there's like, you know, monster people, the giant lizard guy. And then the character that has this like briefcase. I don't actually remember what his name is, but I'll find it while I'm talking. It's really weird because like the fight goes on, and then they're like, all right, cool, 200 has been found. You have his name is Khun Kun. I think it's his name. The guy with the briefcase. They're like, cool, you have 3 minutes to find 2 other people, and you must be touching them by the end of this, or you won't pass to the next floor. So it's the main character and Kun are like, fuck, we gotta find a third person. And then this giant lizard guy shows up. He's like, hey, I want to fight you. And they're like, no, that part's over. We gotta team up. It's like, no, fuck you. I'm gonna fight you right now. And so they kind of have like this little spar thing, and then they jump on him, like on his back and on his front, within like the last 2 seconds, and they all get teleported up. So they kind of just trick him into being partners. And then they're in like, it looks like an airport almost. Like, it is very different from how everywhere else was, where it's like just the setting is this strange airport, and then there's like, they go through like 4 more trials. They're all crazy. So like episode 2 and 3 are just them going through trials pretty much, and it's like they solve them in different ways, and it's interesting and weird. And then in episode 4 they get, which is like the most current episode, they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna have a bonus round because these people beat the first round so hard they killed everybody, so we need to have them in a testing group with you guys. So and then you find out that Rachel is in that group that killed everybody. And you're like, how the hell does that work? She went in the tower first. And she also is a very kind person. Doesn't seem like she'd kill anybody. So the main character's like freaking out. I was like, oh shit, there's Rachel. And he's like calling for her. She's just not paying attention. And so that's kind of weird. You meet like another princess. She has another sword, which is called like the Green April. And she wants the Black March. So it's like there's 13 swords that are named after a color and a month. And it's like, yeah, there's only 12 months, so I'm wondering what the 13th sword is.
Huh.
So they're setting up a lot of stuff, which is going to be really cool. Action is insane. The fighting scenes are so well made. Music's alright. It's not great, but it's, it's like a Eurobeat techno thing. They have they have a bunch of side like groups of characters too, and they're all really interesting. Like they have a character that's just Aizawa, where he's in a sleeping bag and he's constantly sleeping, and he completes the trials with ease. Like they had one where it's like you have to be strong enough to walk through this like impenetrable wall, and he's like asleep, and these characters are yelling, so he just gets up, walks through the wall, and then goes back to sleep. He's probably my favorite character. He's so dumb, but I love him. Character designs are really, really weird because the lines are never all black around the character. Like they'll have lines that are just like their skin tone sometimes. So it almost seems messy, but it seems like something that was drawn, which is kind of cool. All of characters' eyes kind of look like the Crunchyroll logo. Like they're missing a piece out of the bottom of their eye.
Gotta get that sponsorship money.
It's a little weird. It's not insanely bad, but it's weird. Intro is all right. The intro is weird because it's like typical action scenes happening, but then it just cuts to a black screen that has like names on it, and then it'll cut back to the action. Like the titles aren't, or the words aren't actually in the opening scenes. Like they cut purposely to those. So that's kind of weird. And then the outro, the first outro is just a straight up like movie outro, like movie credits kind of thing, where it's black scrolling credits.
All right.
And then the second one is a girl sleeping. And yeah,
Okay.
it's weird. I don't understand what they're going for. Voice acting really good, very diverse. It's got some comedy bits which are pretty funny and pretty well voiced. Oh, your character designs are all over the fucking place. There are characters that look like they're in a different show completely. They have like a creepy balloon man at some point, which looks like a monster out of my nightmares. The backgrounds. Sometimes the backgrounds aren't of where they are. They're like some weird like Technicolor, like acid trip bullshit. And it looks really good, because especially like when they have like a deep moment, the background will be like this weird trippy green color and like morphing, and then it'll cut back to them in the room. So they don't handle backgrounds in a very traditional way, and I like that. Very gory. What else? Plot summary. It's just like a simp trying to climb the tower because his only motivation, and he repeats this a lot, is like, I want to find Rachel. And that's it. He's like, yeah, I owe my life to Rachel, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you don't really. There's like some weird shit going on where Rachel's like, it's implied that she doesn't care about him because the group that she's with, they're like, so can we just kill everybody in this like test? And she looks at the main character and just goes, yeah, that's fine. You can kill everybody. And so it's real weird because the main character is not strong at all. Like, he has a strong sword, but he's like a pussy. So it just, I don't know. I'm interested to see episode 5 because I feel like that's when he's actually going to be able to talk to Rachel, because it kind of left it off like right about then. But would recommend it. Really good action anime. It's got some really good comedy bits. There is one thing that's going to kind of, so this seems like it's kind of like a fantasy thing so far. There's one character that's in a tracksuit, and he's like a Japanese teenager. And he's like, yeah, I know martial arts, but he really doesn't. He's just been lucky up until this point. And he's probably one of my favorite characters because he's just like the comedy relief, and he's really dumb. I don't know why he's in a tracksuit, but he is.
I think I might actually check this one out. I wasn't really interested in it before, but hearing about the trials definitely makes it sound really interesting.
The guy that has a bag, Kun, he's got some weird shit going on. So he keeps having these flashbacks where, like, it's implied that his sister was supposed to be one of the princesses, but she got, like, denied, because there's always 13 princesses, and I guess one died, and so somebody became one. And it's like, I guess it was supposed to be his sister, but she got overlooked for somebody else, and so his family got, like, banished from their town. But it's, like, it's weird because it's romantically implied that he loved his sister. And there was like a throwaway line. It was like, oh, isn't that his sister? You know, and it's like them holding hands, and it's just being kind of weird. He also has a bag of holding, but it's like a briefcase. Like, somebody shoots like an energy beam at him, he just opens up his briefcase and like takes it all in there and then shuts it. It's kind of funny. That one was actually well done because they tell that the character has like a kind of a bag of holding, because earlier on they offered the giant alligator man a candy bar. He's like, oh, cool, you got any more of those? And then, like, the next scene, there's just, like, this mountain of candy bars that he's just wolfing down. And you just think, oh, that's for a comedy. And then, like, the next episode, you find out, no, he actually has a bag of holding that he just has a ton of stuff in. And it's weird because it's, like, implied that the bag can create stuff, because he, like, makes a fake crown during one of these trials and, like, gives it to people when it's not the real crown. I don't know, it's weird. I'm really interested to see that character's past and the main character, like, just how they resolve their shit. But yeah. Let's move on to however the hell you pronounce that.
Kakushigoto, my dad's... Kakushigoto, my dad's secret ambition.
Oh. Yeah, both me and Zach have watched this one.
Yeah, it's I really like it. It's definitely like the most like heart, like kind of like warm anime of this season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a quick plot thing. It's essentially about a guy who is really doting father who writes like a really kind of like raunchy comedy manga, and he doesn't want his daughter to know that he draws this manga because he's so embarrassed that like she'll think that he's lame. So he just like goes completely out of his way to like hide like anything to do with the manga from his daughter.
Like when he leaves for, he dresses up in a suit. He then goes, I think, a costume shop, changes into his manga writing clothes, which is normal clothes, and then goes to his actual work.
He carries a briefcase. The only thing in the briefcase is a like a pillow that he sits on.
It's one of those ring donut pillows.
Nice.
Oh, so.
And then the anime also has like an interesting kind of like way of telling its story where it keeps like cutting back and forth between like when the girl is like, what is she, like 8 right now?
She's 10.
Oh yeah, it keeps like cutting between like her at 10 and her at like 16, and then like 16, like 10 is just like their life, like her and her dad's life, and 16 is like we don't know where the dad is. He quite possibly could be dead. That's kind of what they're like kind of aiming at showing us. But
So it's a time skip.
Yeah, it's like it jumps back and forth.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
like we start with her as 16, and then it just starts flashing back to her being 10.
Yeah, it jumps back and forth, and like her at 16 is investigating like the storage place where he kept all of his manga stuff. So that's when she's learning about his secret, quote unquote.
And we learn that this is a like 1-for-1. I think this is supposed to be their original house, in which he then has people construct in the middle of the city that exact same house and the layout and everything.
Yeah, it's like he completely rebuilt his house like 1-for-1 somewhere else, and he uses one as like a storage unit essentially.
That's fucking weird, but okay.
Oh, the dad's so weird. I love him.
So weird, but he's so good.
Yeah, he's such a spaz, like, because he doesn't want anybody to like know. He doesn't want his daughter to know so bad, and he's so like obsessed with his daughter. Like in one episode, like she goes on a school trip, so he follows her essentially, pretending to go on like a business trip with his manga like drawers, and he keeps like they're catching bugs, and then he has one of his assistants go out and buy a bug so she can have the best one.
He's like, I told you to buy a rhinoceros beetle. You bought. Now they'll think that she found a new species of beetle. And then it turns out just to be a regular beetle, then they'll think her a joke. His brain goes into some crazy places.
Yeah, he hires like an expert curry chef, so she'll have like the best curry. But then later it turns out it's like, Dad, no one liked my curry. They all said it was too spicy.
He's got like an Indian chef.
It's pretty funny.
Oh yeah, no, I like when the construction worker is talking about. Oh yeah, no, I was one of the people who helped build that house. Yeah, no, it's really weird. That house could have, like, with the money that he had, that house could have been like twice the size that it is. It's like, but he really wanted to be one for that specific layout. Oh god, I love the small things that are about his anime company. When they all get injured, and they have to hire a temp. The temp, the dad's first reaction is like, "Oh, he's efficient." Wait a minute, he's too efficient. And the next day, they're like, "Well, what did that mean?" Because the really efficient people end up getting their own comics, end up getting their own manga series, and he's gone the next day. And now he's written like 2 manga series.
I love his assistants. Like they're all like very diverse and funny. Like this, like just like the kind of like loser guy, bad things happen to him. Like the kind of like super obsessed girl, and then like the super normal girl. Like that's just her characters. That she's the
who's
most sensible out of all of them.
who's just the assistant, and then there's the editor.
Oh, yeah. And also like it's really funny because for some reason the dad keeps like end up accidentally having women fall in love with him.
Oh, I love that episode.
like the gym teacher at his daughter's school is like thinks that he's like trying to like propose to her at one point. During the sports festival, like three women are like three women or so are like cheering for her.
A high school student, a florist, and then I think what was the third? I think she was like a photographer or something like that. Oh no, she was the cooking instructor. That's right. Because he was like, I must prepare for my daughter's sports festival because so he's working out. He's like, because last minute they want the parents to participate. Oh, I'm gonna take cooking lessons so I can make her a very good bento. Oh, I'm gonna get her some nice flowers. And every time he just says something that they all just think that, is he hitting on me? It's working.
Yeah. I love the gym teacher though.
Oh,
like
my God.
she's like she carries this giant like stick with like a hook thing on the end, and every time she like ends up like running into the dad, she's like stranger danger and like bashes him into something, and it's like, oh, it's just you.
Yeah, it's like a long, like almost like a long jump pole, but then it's like forked and curved at the end. So it's like a man catcher, and she just like pins him to the ground every time. Stranger danger! Ah! Oh, it's just you.
And also the little girl is like the little girl is a pretty funny character because she's like really kind of dense. Like there's just moments where she's like staring off into space or doing something random, and then just the dialogue just says derp.
Yeah. Oh. Also, unfortunately, the mom is dead.
Oh.
Yeah. They haven't said how early on she passed. It seems like the mom knew something was going to happen because there's just these boxes that the girl keeps finding in like a closet that just have ages on them. She's like, yeah, now that I'm 10, I've opened up the box with the 10 on it. And it's a bunch of it's like a homemade like kimono like festival. It's like a book of recipes that 10-year-olds can do.
The fuck? That's kind of cool, but it's kind of like sad.
Yeah. And she doesn't even like really catch on either because she's like she thinks it's her dad that did all of that.
Aww.
And she's like can you make me more clothes? And then he's like sure. And then he goes out of his way to like learn from his friend how to make clothes, the one who owns the clothing shop that he always hides stuff in, which I love. Like that character hasn't done a lot, but I love the clothing shop owner.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a looks to be like a trans woman, and like they don't really like poke fun at that. It's just kind of like it's a manly looking woman, so it's like kind of like a trans woman. But and she calls him Superman because of his.
Oh yeah, she just keeps calling him Clark Kent. He's like really. I love the episode where the girls like go to find this mystery hero who saved a cat using a ring donut, which is just her dad. Because like a kitten had fallen into the river, so he threw his donut into the water and it saved the cat. So they're like, we gotta go find this mystery hero. So they just go on an adventure to find him. They end up going to the store that he keeps changing at while he's out. So it's this whole thing of trying to hide trying to get away from this area. But the daughter and the friends just have a weird misunderstanding. Like they think that there's these monsters called fancy peeps, which are just hipsters. And the teacher talks about like this witch's brew, and it's just Starbucks.
Yeah, like reading tomes and all that. Like,
oh yeah, they're like, oh god, everyone's reading. It's like they're like one dude's naming off an order, but they think it's a spell.
That's kind of cute.
It's like it's in English. It's like, no, I need a little fat latte and a. I'm like, oh, they're casting magic. Oh, what are they doing? Oh wait, what's the only thing that's not in here? Manga. And she throws his manga book at him. Like a different character throws his manga series at him. And he's, uh, uh. Show's nuts, and I love it.
Did you guys talk about the music yet?
Not really. But, I don't. The only thing I have to say is that the opening, like, there's one part in the opening that I love because the opening kind of goes along with that time skip like thing. I think the ending does it a little bit too because that's kind of like a big part of the anime is like the 2 time frames. And there's a shot in the opening that's so good. I think that's how they end it actually, where it's them standing across from each other, like the 16-year-old version of her and him standing across from each other. And they're in front of the house, but like it's like different time frames. Like behind her, the house is like old and dilapidated, and the grass is like crappy. But in behind him, it's all nice and the grass is good and all that. And it meshes seamlessly with each other.
Oh, I love right before that when they're like staring at each other, and as they start moving closer, it just shoots to their feet. The ground around her is all like tall and crazy looking. It's all like smooth and cut for him in brighter colors. Oh, I like the music for that one, but the ending I love because it's very Beatles-esque.
Oh,
yeah, it has like it's very similar to like how the Beatles sound. It's very interesting, but it still also goes with the like. I think it's her running down, like skipping down one path as a 16-year-old, and it's him walking home. And then eventually they just meet. But still, the time skipped. So, like, stuff looks different from one thing to another.
Alright, who'd you recommend this for?
People who like lighthearted animes?
And if you like family stuff, like I love like single dad animes. Like I call them dad animes. I love like things with like non-traditional family structures. I love those types of animes. Dad animes is what I like.
I still need to watch Sweetness and Light.
Yes, you do.
I do. This makes me want to watch Sweetness and Lightning more now.
All right. Let's move on to Wave.
Yes, wave, comma, listen to me! Exclamation point. This anime is about a woman who I'll find her name in a bit. A woman who like after like kind of getting in a bad breakup, she gets super drunk and just rants to this dude she meets at a bar, and that dude turns out to be like a producer at like a radio station, and they stream her stuff onto the radio. They stream her rant onto the radio, and like everybody loves it so much they like hire her on to be to have her own talk show. Her name is Koda Minari. I don't know how to pronounce that exactly, but yeah, it's like the animation is really interesting. Like it's very, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like it's very non-traditional. It reminds me of the anime Hinamatsuri, which is an underrated thing that no one really watched. But yeah, the animation's like kind of weird and funny, like some really funny like facial reactions, especially with the girl. The girl's voice actress is amazing because she just has like the best yelling voice. She just screams all the time, especially when she's like ranting on the radio. Though we haven't seen a lot of her on the radio yet, because like the first episode was like mostly one of her episodes of the radio thing, and then like 2 and 3 was more focused on like the build up to when she first started working there. Though the first episode has the weirdest structure ever, because the first episode is like it starts with her in a forest, and she's standing like eye to eye to a bear as she's like reading questions for the radio station. like she's like doing the news. She's doing like her show, but in the middle of a forest. And then it cuts back to sometimes it'll cut to like her just actually in the radio thing, and then she like ends up like fighting the bear to the death.
What the fuck?
And all this stuff, and it's just like it turns out like this is all like part of the show. Like for some reason this is something they did for the show. She's just reading these questions and like answering like stuff for her viewers while she's fighting a bear. I don't really understand, but it's really funny, especially how like she keeps changing the script, so like the sound designer has to like improvise. Like at one point the producer's like, "Do you have a dying bear noise?" It's like, "No, I don't, but I can improvise one." She's like I said before, she's just such a funny character because she's like just this drunkard who like. She just gets drunk all the time, rants about her relationships, like very like unfortunate girl.
How old is this character?
Probably in her 30s or something. I'm not sure if they ever say her age.
Okay. Seems interesting. How many episodes are right now?
3 right now, I think.
Yeah, this season's kind of weird with certain shows having more episodes than others.
No, I mean that's pretty much standard. Like it's either 3 or 4. The only exception was like Balance Unlimited, and that's just because they got delayed.
Yeah, and then B&A has like 6.
You got an early start.
Yeah.
Well, those all came out at the same time. I think B&A probably has like just being streamed somewhere on like Netflix or something.
They are partnered with Netflix, so that would make sense.
Yeah. Anything else you really want to say about this, or?
No. I don't remember. I think I remember the opening being good, but like I don't remember it that well. And I don't remember the ending at all. Just and then recommendations. It's just comedy.
Just a comedy.
It's a really funny comedy. Like I wouldn't recommend only watching the first episode. Like if you want to get a feel for it, because the first episode is so like out there compared to the second and third.
So give it a couple episodes before you make your decision.
Yeah, I mean they call it the 3-episode rule for a reason.
It's usually what we do with this podcast too. So.
Yes, we tried to.
Yeah. So shall we move on?
Yes.
Jarrett, I believe it's your turn.
Yes, for one of my top ones I've watched. It's solidly, because it's hard to beat B&A, and no, it's 4th. Sorry, I forgot about my dad's secret ambition, but still really good. Like 4th is not bad for this. It's called Appare-ranman. It is. I almost said Seal Ball Run. It's
Cannonball Run.
Yeah, it's Cannonball Run with an interesting twist because the main characters, because there's 2. One of them is Appare, who is basically an engineer in 19th century. Yeah, the back end of the 19th century in Japan. So he's the second son of a merchant family, and he's just messing around making steam engine stuff because he really likes doing that. The show actually starts with him, like, it goes to like a year ago where the show starts, goes to a flashback. He's just in jail.
Oh.
Because he made some kind of star boat and it freaking launched into like a nobleman's house. So, but he gets out of prison, like it just starts with him in prison and he's just writing out a bunch of schematics and basically figure out what went wrong almost. I say that, but he doesn't really care what went wrong. He's just like basically analyzing it. but he got put into like the major crimes holding cell. So it's like, you know, murderers and a bunch of other people. And so like they try and rough him up. And they're like, it's like, what? You don't even have the courtesy to say hi. He's like, no, I'm busy. So the guy's like, steps on his paper. He's like, yeah, would you mind moving your foot? He's like, make me. So he pulls out a freaking hammer and just beats the dude's foot.
Jesus.
He's then just like, all right, I'm done with this. And he picks up all the paper, pulls out a screwdriver, walks over, unlocks the lock, steps out, and then relocks it. And everyone's just like, wait a minute, come back and unlock it. Let us out. He just walks home. Character's very apathetic. He just doesn't care. So then we cut to the other main character, Kozume, who's a samurai. I say this because, you know, it's like 19th century, so not a lot of actual. But he, you know, trains as a samurai and has a dojo and whatnot.
Yeah.
He's now tasked with basically dealing with him because he's like, yeah, he doesn't care. So if I make you care about him caring, then you should be able to keep him out of trouble. Because if not, well, you know, the whole engagement and whatnot, that's off, and you'll be thrown in prison along with him because it's your fault for letting it happen. It's like, okay, well, I'll go get him once they find out that he broke out of prison. It's like, okay, I'll go get him. I'll have him come apologize. Should be good. While this is happening, Appare has gone down to his secret tunnel dock he's made underneath his house or his workshop, and Kozume follows him. He's like, what is this? He's built a steamboat, like a full-on, like, decent-sized steamboat. He's like, yeah, no, I'm gonna go somewhere else. You know, go to a dock, learn more about how to make steamships, and go from there, see where it takes me. He's like, you just broke out of prison, you can't do this. He's like, yeah, no, I'm just gonna go. So he turns on, starts going. And then, like, basically a mob that's formed to, you know, try and find him and bring him back to prison. They catch up, they try and board. Kozume ends up getting stuck on the boat, and they end up in a tussle, and they kick a lever that basically makes the boat go super fast. So they get stuck, like, several, like, almost 100 miles out into the ocean. And then, you know, no food, no water, no anything. And they're just like, plan on, like, bringing food or water or anything? He's like, fair, I didn't think I'd be going out this far. I was gonna go to, like, the next town that had a dock and go from there. They get picked up by an American ship going to Los Angeles. You get to Los Angeles. That's where the first episode ends. The second episode then is them trying to figure out what to do while they're in Los Angeles. Like, because Kozume wants to go back. He wants to go back to Japan. He's like, we're not supposed to be here. I have a fiance that's waiting for me. I have a sister that's waiting for me back at home. Why are you not concerned about this? He's like, I really feel like going back. He's more interested about these new cars because it's the back end of the 19th century. America's fully fledged into the, you know, that whole car automotive business. So he's just fascinated with everything and is trying to learn how everything works. Because, you know, nothing's steam powered now. It's all gasoline powered.
Yeah.
So they end up going to a racetrack, like racing animals, but cars.
The gas station.
They see the races. Yeah. Ends up going to, you know, watch the race, and he wants to, you know, figure out how these cars work. So they sneak into the building to look at the cars. They find one of the other characters, Jilian, who I think is supposed to be Chinese. But she's a mechanic who's, you know, just racing at the track at night because, like the typical late 19th century, stereotypical, it's, oh, women can't drive. It's like, the cars aren't powered by gasoline, but they're fueled by a man's raging heart. I'm like, oh, God. I'm like, oh. They're like, women aren't powerful enough to drive cars. What are you, crazy? I'm like, oh.
Power level isn't high enough to operate this vehicle.
Yeah. Meanwhile, she's probably one of the best drivers that they have. So because she's lit up the field with just lanterns, Appare is like, I need light to figure out what's up with these cars, to see better. He goes onto the field, grabs a lamp. She crashes the car. Appare just starts, digging into it. She ends up fighting with the Kazame. He gets his butt kicked. Yeah, he gets his butt kicked. And she's like, well, I guess I'm going. You can do whatever you want to the car. I'm going to go get some sleep and then, come and quit my job because, well, now the car's messed up and, well, you're not going to be able to do anything to it. So she comes back the next day. She's like, and the guy's like, what do you mean you drove it? Haha, that's funny. What are you, having a silly dream or anything? She's like, but the car is all messed up. He's like, talking about that car and it's being better than ever. He's like, yeah, no, that car just set a new course record. So I don't know what you're talking about. Go start working.
Huh.
Yeah. So that's only the second episode, and they've interspersed between this is just them starting the race, because I guess the race happens like a year later. It's like the start of this Cannonball Run, or they call it the Trans-American Grand Race or something like that.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was called in whatever this is based off of.
Yeah. Which is just LA to New York by car.
I want to say it's the other way around normally.
Yeah.
Because I usually think it's from the east to west.
In Steel Ball Run, it was from California to New York. I don't know about
Maybe I'm wrong.
the original. I'm pretty sure it was the same in Cannonball Run as well.
Never mind then, ignore me.
So I'm pretty sure it's always I'm pretty sure it always starts in California and ends in New York.
Yeah. The other drivers, because there's 7 cars, but there's like a couple of cars have like more than one person. The character designs in the show are all over the place, and I love it. Like, I've seen a couple snapshots of like one dude who could basically, I just think, like he's just some face makeup away from being the Joker. Or best I can describe it is if Prince decided to become a gunslinger.
Yeah, the character outfits in the show, from what you've shown me, are just insane.
I mean, the main character is like, he has like overalls and then like a kimono. He has that weird thing that I don't know what that is. His hair is like insanely all over the place and in red and white. And he has like these weird like corner like red things. I don't know how to describe them.
I appreciate
like
weird character designs.
Boy.
I appreciate weird character designs, but these are fucking insane.
And then you just have Kozame, who's just like a samurai looking dude. He's he's very traditional looking.
He's just vibing, man.
In the middle of like basically the American West. Just I do have to say I love the intro because it's like big band J-rock. Like there's the saxophones and the trumpets and stuff, and then it just goes into like rock, and then there's just like there's English singing throughout it. It's called I Got It. It's really good sounding. It's one of the like 3 shows that like caught me just with the sound. And then the ending theme is I'm Nobody, and it's J Country.
Yeah, you were saying that throws you off.
It threw me for a loop because I wasn't expecting it. I don't hear J Country a lot. I'm just like, all right, it's got the acoustic guitar, and this sounds just like a country song, just in Japanese. I'm like, all right, I'm digging it. But I love the visuals in the first one because it's like the first few cuts in the intro are just super technicolor. Like it's basically like spray paint just being like neon paint just being splattered against the background to form the words. And they did this thing where I've been seeing in animes where it's like the music starts and there's like one line and then the main character's saying it, but they just cut to like just his mouth and it's bright shaded and it's just like him saying the words, and then the like music gets intense and starts going. The rest of it is like them racing. It's 2 of the characters having a like martial arts gunfight. It's just, yeah, it's all over the place. I love it.
Who would you recommend this for?
It has a good bit of comedy. So if you enjoy comedy, if you enjoy adventure racing or like grand traveling series where like you're not in the same place for a very long, like a big grand journey kind of thing. Also, I guess if you're slightly into historical, because it is tagged as historical,
I imagine
given this time period.
I imagine if you enjoyed Steel Ball Run, you might like this. Same concept.
Yeah. Like I said, I feel like this is good, like Steel Ball light training for me for what to expect in that JoJo part. Also, like all the characters are like really colorful. Like the only one who's like kind of bland is Kazame, and that makes sense for his character. Everyone else is like purples or like bright greens or very sophisticated looking whites. Like there's just an offhand character who she's just like super red hair, one of those old timey little like hats, but like the little like derby hats, and she's like in a bright green dress. I'm like, these colors are all over the place, but I love it. Which is funny because like when they're in Japan, it's all kind of like the same basic color. That makes sense. It's very traditional, and then they get to America, and it's just colors everywhere, and it's nuts.
Huh. Well, all right. Well, let's move on to Zach's next one, which is
Tsugumomo, which well, specifically this one is the second season Tsugumomo. I mean, you do you, anime companies, I guess. Studio Zero G, interesting name. But I haven't watched. I just wanted to talk about this because I really like the Tsugumomo manga, but I haven't watched the anime. And it's interesting to see it get a second one second season, because I didn't think I honestly thought Tsugumomo would just die into obscurity because it's like a very like weird manga, but it is kind of interesting. Which I also have to say, it is super like raunchy ecchi. Like it is like it gets like, I think like once they get into like the weird like. You ever watch like a series where like they like it like kind of seems like they're kind of more going for like a formula, and then they just have like an arc that completely like changes everything, and then like the entire structure of the story is changed?
Yeah.
That Tsugumomo essentially does that in the manga, and then like after that point it gets even more like it gets super raunchy. Like before it's just boobs and stuff, and then like after that point it's just like the main character's having sex with the girls to like recharge their like spiritual energy. It's weird.
Okay.
but this manga is essentially about this kid who I think is I don't remember them ever really mentioning his father, but his mom's dead, and he gets like he gets this sash, like it's a kimono sash that was from his mother, and he kind of treasures it because it belonged to her. And then that sash ends up being a tsukumomi, which is is essentially a Japanese thing where if like an object or something has enough like love or use, it will gain a spirit and be able to like become a person essentially. So like
interesting.
So like he uses this, like him and the sash, like sash girl go around. What was her name? Oh, Kiraha. So Kazuya and Kiraha like go around. They're killing like they're like fighting like evil spirits, like evil versions of Tsukumomi and stuff. It's like kind of cool because like the action, like I'm like, at least in the manga, the action was really cool because like I like the way the main character fights, because like everybody's like, he's fighting like Tsukumomi that are like swords and stuff. He like so they have like abilities that make sense for like a sword to have, and they're strong because they're weapons. It was like, oh, how is a guy with a sash gonna be like a guy with a sash gonna be a sword Tsukiyomi? And he does some like rad stuff with it. It's some like One Piece-esque like way he fights with a sash. Like he like puts it like on his body and like as like muscles.
Yeah, it's very One Piece-esque.
Yeah, like they have like so many cool like sash moves, like a drill, like big fists, and like just like muscle enhancement. Like it's some like wicked cool like concepts for like a way to use a sash in a fight. Yeah, I'm curious to like if the second season will get to that weird turning point. But I like the manga. Like I didn't really bother watching the anime because I was already reading the manga, so it's like I didn't really think it was worth the time. But yeah, if you don't want to read the manga, I would recommend it if you like kind of like stuff I described, like more like a character fighting in a more untraditional sense. Because I like the main character isn't like particularly overpowered, but he finds a way to use the abilities to aid him. Yeah, and then it's just like if you like, just like really pretty raunchy. If you don't mind raunchy ecche, God, it's like so weird. Like I almost don't want to talk about like some of the weird stuff they do. Like even early on, like I think there's like a scene where like one of them has to put like ointment in the other person's anus. Like it's weird.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a really weird series, and might I also add that the artist for the manga essentially draws hentai of his own series, like not like he like there's very little hentai of the series, and like 80% of it is from the artist himself. I respect this man. He knows what his viewers want.
It's like, well, if I want any good art, do it.
Yes. Like no one draws these girls better on model than me.
That's awesome. All right. Did you say that's about it for that?
Yeah, I can't really comment on yeah, it's just really my comments on the series as a whole rather than the anime, just since I don't really know what the animation is like, and I don't really know what the music's like or anything.
Fair enough. Well, all right, let's move on to our final selection. Gal&dino.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you and I both watched this. I've watched everything that's up has been released up to now.
I only was able to catch the first episode, but that was already enough to catch how weird this.
So whenever I select anime, I usually pick like a couple of the really high-rated ones, and then I try to like pick one or two really shitty ones because I want to give them a chance. Like this one's only rated 5.7 on my anime list, and I can get why. This is barely an anime. Like,
yeah, I was almost going to watch it originally because the thumbnail made it look like it had a kind of a cute art style, and I figured it was like from looking at it, I figured it was probably one of those like it was like a 5-minute episode like gag manga like short thing. That's exactly what I thought it was. So I was like, maybe not. And then Anthony started posting pictures of
the second half.
Yeah, the second half of these episodes.
Because it's divided into two sections where it's three technically. It's the animated short section, which is like traditional anime style, kind of cutesy. The backgrounds are bubbly. It's almost very cartoonish.
Yeah, it's got a very good like the animated part is like really well animated. Like it's very unique style. And then they have like kind of multimedia like animation sometimes, like clay, kind of like almost claymation looking things.
Yeah, they have like claymation, stop motion, and something else, and that looks nice. And then there's the other part where it is just a live action like thing where it's a guy in a dinosaur suit, and then you think that it's going to be the girl, but it's just this old guy.
Okay.
So we'll start at the beginning of the first part of the episode, because for the second half to make sense, you kind of got to know the first part. The girl literally wakes up and there's a dinosaur sitting at like her coffee table, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I got drunk and let the dinosaur follow me home last night."
Yeah, it's like almost like the exact like premise of the way Kobayashi starts almost.
And then the dinosaur always like has its mouth open and it's just like staring at the TV, and I love the dinosaur. It's so dumb, but it's so good. And she's a Garu.
Yeah, gal or a Garu, either a gal or a Garu.
And that is relevant later on because there is some plot points in second and third episodes, but
yeah, essentially it's just like women who try to like look really fashionable, usually dye their hair, usually like do their nails and makeup like heavily. It's a style. It's a style I like in anime.
yeah, some of the transitions too that they have between, like, because it's a couple shorts more or less, like it's not really long. It's shorts, but they're connected in a way. Like it is telling a story. But the short transitions are just like her taking a selfie and like this like pop music. It's really weird. They talk about Instagram a lot too, which is even more strange.
And then like the weird stop motion parts are kind of like shown as if they're YouTube videos.
Yeah, and they showed the like a thumbnail of the next one coming up. Like I didn't catch on to that till the second one, but it's like it pretty much like shows you what the next one's going to be about in like the next episode.
Like, yeah, I also like the little detail that has like the autoplay thing, like like it's like a star and like the line goes around it as like an autoplay thing. Such like a interesting detail.
But it's pretty much just her living with like this dinosaur, which is it doesn't speak, but it's like smart enough to like hold objects and watch TV, and you know, it's kind of weird. The thing loves ramen noodles. Like they have this thing called the Dino Channel, which is like a different animation style, and it's just him doing something for like 2 minutes. And they have him making ramen in one of them, and it's like literally, I think more than half of it is him just sitting there staring at the cup.
All right. Then.
It's such like, I don't want to say a waste of time, but it's such a waste of time. They have like another one where he's waiting for a bus, and these like cats keep coming up and bothering him. It's cutesy. I would say it's almost a cart like for children, but I mean, she literally talks about she was drunk and brought this thing home. So I don't necessarily know who the audience is for this. Maybe people like her, but so yeah. So then it cuts to the second half of the first episode, and it's the old man, but he's in the same exact apartment, and he says pretty much the same lines. Like, the apartment's like very cutesy, and it's got like a bunch of stuffed animals, and this is like maybe a 50-year-old man. It's so weird. So that happens, and then they have like like pretty much the first episode more or less pans out, but it keeps going after that, and then like he comes home and it's like it's Christmas, and he's like, oh, he's like sitting up the tree. He's like, yeah, it's sad to live alone, but this is perfect for, you know, a single guy like me. And then he makes dinner, and his landlady brings over some like soup, like some like New Year's soup or whatever. And he eats a little bit of it, and he's like, oh, my stomach hurts, and then he falls over, and then the episode ends.
Yeah, it's like the dinosaur is like super worried. He's like, oh, my stomach. Like the dinosaur is funny because like every time it cuts back to it, like its eyes are like different. Like,
oh yeah,
like, the dinosaur's like emoting.
The dinosaur, for some reason, when it waves its arms or its tails, it has lightsaber sound effects.
Yeah, and then sometimes it'll like one of the first time they do it is when he gives them the ramen. The dinosaur puts his arms up. They do emoji like air horn sound effects.
Like,
So he puts his hands in the air,
100%
like,
that sound effect too. It's not like it's a knockoff. It's just straight up a doo-doo-doo.
That's so weird. Yeah, that and the like lightsaber sound effect. It's so weird.
So weird. Like it's impossible for those not to just be straight up that. And I love it. So in the second episode, it's more or less confirmed that he did die. Like when he said my stomach hurts, like he just straight up, the old man dies. So then, some more. I've kind of lost interest in the girl and dinosaur part of the show. Like it's still cute, and it's a pleasant thing to watch, but that's not why I continued watching it. Like I got the premise of it pretty quick, and I kind of lost interest. Then the second episode, like halfway through the second episode, it cuts back to the old man and the dinosaur. The old man wakes up in the bed again. He's like, "Oh yeah, I got drunk and brought the dinosaur home last night." And you're like, "Wait a minute, what?" And it's like some of the dialogue is slightly different. And then instead of him leaving the dinosaur home, he invites the dinosaur to go out with him that day. And so, some stuff happens. And then it kind of ends the same way, him setting up the tree. Or no, the tree was already set up when he got home. And he's like, "Oh, yeah, cool, blah, blah." And his landlady brought him some soup, and he ate the soup, and he fell over. And he's like, "Oh, my stomach." Then it cuts to, like, this dude in, like, leather. He's like a leather-clad, like, pop star kind of guy.
Well, that was in the first episode.
Was that in the first episode?
Yeah, where he's holding the schedule and he's like, "This wasn't how it's supposed to go."
Yeah, well, he's a bit more prominent in the second episode. He's like, "No, this wasn't supposed to happen." And then you see him like write something down in the note, like he writes down the date, December 25th, 2019, and then it cuts back again to the beginning of it, and it's just like a montage of him like going back, like he's like a death note, but it's like for a schedule. And it just keeps cutting to him going back in time to that date to try to save the old man from dying. And it's like, it keeps showing him getting the soup from the landlady and eating it, and him being like, "Oh, my stomach." And then one of them, he pretty much stops the dinosaur and the man from ever meeting. He's like, maybe that's what's doing it. And he's like, kind of says like, "I'm sorry, but we have to save this guy's life." And you're like, why the hell does this matter? And then so he's at home and he's like kind of sad, like not really sad, but he's just like, "Oh, alone again on Christmas, but at least I got some soup." He's like, "And I got a whole pot of soup that the landlady brought me, all for myself." And he eats it. He's like, "Oh, my stomach," and he falls over. And then the guy appears. He's like, "No, this wasn't supposed to happen." And then the landlady comes in. And it's like, "Oh my god!" Like nobody can see this guy, by the way. I think it's implied that dinosaur can, but like nobody else can see this guy. And so the landlady comes in. She's like, "Oh my god, are you okay?" And then she turns to the guy and be like, "You're not the only one that can do this." And then she pulls out her own schedule thing. And you're just like, what the fuck is going on? And so it's like implied that the landlady's trying to kill him for some reason. And it's just like, I was not expecting this weird ass plot, and like I'm so attached to this old man now because he's like such a sweet little thing.
Yeah, it's like, oh god, it's like one half like lighthearted like gag manga, like, and then the other half is this like weird like drama, like this insane drama. And
so then that episode ends with a real life version of the girl and the dinosaur in the same apartment. And you're like, "Huh, that's weird." And it's like the girl that they got to do it actually looks, really, she looks exactly like the character. You're like, all right, that's kind of weird. And then the next episode, it's, more or less the same stuff, antics with the dinosaur in the first half, but in the second half, it's just her and the dinosaur. And then they're like gonna go out to like a park or whatever. And they're like, "Oh man, I don't know how we're gonna get there." And the dinosaur just takes her hand and jumps, and then they teleport. And she goes, "What is this, some kind of comedy anime?" And then she like laughs and kind of shoves him a little bit. You're like, all right, that's kind of weird. And so, they like spend a day at the beach and like, they have some antics. It's nothing that interesting. But then the episode ends with just this zoom in on this creepy guy's face, and he's just like smiling like in the shadows, just like looking up at her apartment. I'm like, my mind is like melting. Like, it's implied that this is the same apartment. Oh, I forgot to mention. They distinctly say that this is now April 9th of 2020. They make that distinction, so it's like it's 4 months after the old man died. So I don't know what the fuck's going on there, but it's like implied that it's like the girl moved into the apartment after that, and like the dinosaur's just there because that's where the old guy was, and like I don't know. I'm
so confused.
Yeah, it is a trip. Yeah. See if I missed anything. Edge Guide, Death Note schedule, second episode, retelling of timeline. Okay, yeah. Pretty much the same thing. The intro's pretty good. The outro is like a stop motion thing, which is pretty good. Really well.
Yeah, both of them are really good. The opening is really, really cool, where it's like a bunch of like really fast flashes of like some animated stuff and then some like real life stuff, like there's like a gumball machine, like cookies and stuff, but then like the dinosaur is always like somewhere, like the dinosaur is always put on something, and then sometimes they'll cut to like the dinosaur suit that they use for the live action parts. Like there's just like a revolving shot of the dinosaur standing in different places. It's just like, it's a really like interesting style, like, because the opening just switches like animation styles like so many times. It looks really, really good. Yeah. And the song is like really fast paced and like kind of poppy, which is nice. Kind of goes with the art style of like the animated bits. And then the EDs. Wait, you were gonna say something?
I was just gonna say they also have like a weird thing. Just like once per episode, they just have find the dinosaur, and it's just like a big pile of like dinosaurs in like a random location, and then the main dinosaur is like somewhere in the photo, and it's like a child thing. It's like a countdown kind of thing, or a countdown sound, and then it just zooms in on where the dinosaur is, and then it just goes back to whatever the fuck it was. It was so weird.
Yeah, it wasn't even hard on the first episode.
The third episode's actually kind of difficult.
Yeah, and then the EDs like kind of like felt like Muppets, like kind of like felt Muppet like stop motion thing. Not really Muppets, but like, you know, felt puppets. Fuck. But it's got a really nice song, and like the animation is really good because of the puppets, and it's kind of like, it's interesting because it tells like a little story of like the main girl like hatching, like she's a cave woman hatching from like an egg, and then she meets the dinosaur. Maybe.
It's less weird than it sounds, and that's saying something for the show. Yeah. It's not traditional anime in any way. This is more of like a TV show that's just on.
Yeah, it's barely an anime. It's like, God, like half of it's an anime, and like half of it's a drama.
I'm definitely more interested in the live action bits, and I'm not the target audience for this, but I am hooked to this weird ass time traveling plot that they have going on.
Yeah, like Seto could only catch the first episode before it time for this, but like I loved the old man, like just like like the way like he tries to like mimic some of like the lines that the girl had to say. It's just like it's like when like he's like, fine, I'll get you some ramen.
They show like one of the walls where she has photos hung up. They show it, and it's just him in the photos, like, doing, like, peace signs and, like, kind of girlish poses, and it's the funniest fucking thing. Because it's just, like, a quick, like, 2-second look, and you're like, wait a minute. Huh. Oh, God. I forgot. They zoom into, like, this part, like, on that photo wall, where it's this, like, old-class photo, but it's all white people, and it looks like from, like, the 1940s. And they just Photoshop the old man's face onto one child, and then they Photoshop the guy that has, like, the schedule, like, in the background of it, and it looks so bad, but it's so funny. Like, I don't know what they were trying to imply there, but it's just so good. Highly recommended. Gal&dino. Very cutesy. Very fast-paced, honestly.
Confusing.
It's gonna be 12 episodes, apparently.
It's just batshit insane. Like if you like something weird like Pop Team Epic, then watch this.
Yeah, that's a good actually example of All right, I believe that's everything. So what would your guys' top pick for this season be? Mine's probably going to be Tower of God, just because I like everything I watched this season, but Tower of God is like just barely edging out at the top for me. Like, I'm most interested in that one's plot. But I'm definitely gonna be watching more than one. What?
I'm torn between Appare-ranman, Millionaire Detective. Like, I'm going to watch BThepoet no matter what. And
Yeah.
those two are like, they're really up there for me.
If you don't watch Millionaire Detective before I come see you again, we gotta watch it all together.
Oh. Oh, so good.
How about you, Zach?
It's like, yeah, like it has to be like, because my obsession with buddy cop things, it's got to be like Millionaire Detective. I'll see how it is when more episodes come out, and see how it compares to BNA, because I feel like BNA and Millionaire Detective are gonna be neck and neck. But I'm also loving the isekais. Like more, the Sentence of Bookworm is probably one of my like the most interesting isekais I've ever seen. So I'm glad to see it back. And Villainess is very unique. So
I'm happy with everything I watch. President, It's Time for Battles, the only one that I'm kind of meh on, but it might get better. I have hopes for it. But everything else, I'm definitely I want to watch the rest of it. I want to watch more Balance Unlimited. I want to watch more BNA. I want to watch more My Dad's Secret Mission and Emperor and Digimon.
Fair enough. So we kind of know what your lowest was. So what about you, Zach? What do you think the lowest of the season for you was?
I don't really know. I'm not really watching anything that I just think is like, like I kind of like all that I'm watching right now.
I'd have to pretty much say the same, except for Gal&dino. I mean, Gal&dino isn't. I don't count it as an anime, so it's kind of disqualified on its own. If that was in the group, that'd be the weakest of all of them. But
yeah, I like Gal&dino from what I've seen in the first episode. It will definitely probably be my like least favorite of the season, but I don't think I'm gonna hate it because of how like hilariously dumb it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I would watch it. I would watch it even if it was like I said, I almost watched it because I thought it was just gonna be like the cutesy dino stuff, because I just really like the art style of it. So I think even if it was just that, I would still like it.
Well, all right. Any wrapping up statements or whatnot?
The only thing I have to say is that they came out with a 5th season of Shokugeki no Soma. Haven't watched it, but from what I heard at the end of the last season of Shokugeki no Soma, that apparently this season's going to suck ass. Maybe, and then perhaps that was a bit of a reason why I wasn't that interested in watching it. It's because I heard like an overwhelmingly majority like consensus that the next season is going to really, really suck, because that part in the manga really, really sucks apparently.
Huh. All right. Thank you for joining us. You can find links to everything down in the link dumps, along with the timestamps for what we talk about. I'll probably put some kind of warning in the front of this to let you know, but you can find our Twitters and other social medias if you feel like following us. As always, we post twice a month, and we'll have an occasional special episode like this one, so be sure to stick around. Be sure to join us for the next seasonal special, which is Summer 2020. We got a lot of good stuff coming up in that. And as always, bye.
Bye, have a good time.
Goodbye, Internet.